يفقهوا قولي. أما بعد، السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. Respected brothers and sisters, elders, scholars, those in Islam and those in humanity, my sincerest of condolences to you on the tragedy of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. On behalf of the Manchester Community and Youth Project, we are privileged to welcome you to this second Majlis on this first day of Muharram in commemoration of the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. As is tradition, we begin the Majlis with a recitation of Ziyarat Ashura and the verses from the Holy Book, the Holy Quran. I'm enormously honored that we have with us Qari Mustafa Al-Ali, who is an international level reciter and has won several competitions internationally in recitation of the Holy Quran. Last year, for example, Qari, this year, Qari was third in the competition in Iran. And we are enormously privileged and honored that he has joined us with us today. He will be reciting first Ziyarat Ashura, and then he will be reciting from verse number 31 of Surah Al-Imran. If you wish to take a mushaf, there are some books of the Holy Quran over there. You can pick up one of those if you wish to follow him. And I'd be enormously honored if you now welcome him with the warmest of your voices and with your loudest of your salawats.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة سيدتي نساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور. السلام عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. يا أبا عبد الله، لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت وعظمت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل الإسلام، وجلت وعظمت مصيبتك في السماوات على جميع أهل السماوات. فلعن الله أمة أسست أساس الظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت، ولعن الله أمة دفعتكم عن مقامكم وأزالتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيها. ولعن الله أمة قتلتكم، ولعن الله الممهدين لهم بالتمكين من قتالكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم ومن أشياعهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم. يا أبا عبد الله، إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم إلى يوم القيامة. ولعن الله آل زياد وآل مروان، ولعن الله بني أمية قاطبة، ولعن الله ابن مرجانة، ولعن الله عمر بن سعد، ولعن الله شمران. ولعن الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتنقبت لقتالك. بأبي أنت وأمي لقد عظم مصابي بك، فأسأل الله الذي أكرم مقامك وأكرمني بك أن يرزقني بطلب ثارك مع إمام منصور من أهل بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم اجعلني عندك وجيها بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة. يا أبا عبد الله، إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بموالاتك وبالبراءة ممن قاتلك ونصب لك الحار، وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس الظلم والجور عليكم. وأبرأوا إلى الله وإلى رسوله ممن أسس أساس ذلك وبنى عليه بنيانا وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشياعكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم، وأتقرب إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالاتكم وموالاة وليكم والبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الحار، وبالبراءة من أشياعهم وأتباعهم. إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم وولي لمن والاكم وعدو لمن عاداكم. فأسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم ورزقني البراءة من أعدائكم أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة، وأن يثبت لي عندكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة، وأسأل أن يبلغني المقام المحمود لكم عند الله، وأن يرزقني طلب ثاري مع إمام هدى ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم. وأسأل الله بحقكم وبالشأن الذي لكم عنده أن يعطيني بمصابي بكم أفضل ما يعطي مصابا بمصيبته، مصيبة ما أعظمها وأعظم رزيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعلني في مقامي هذا ممن تناله منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد، ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن آكلة الأكباد اللعين ابن اللعين على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله في كل موطن وموقف وقف فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية، عليهم منك اللعنة أبد الآبدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فضاعف عليهم اللعن منك والعذاب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم واللعنة عليهم وبالموالاة نبيك وآل نبيك عليه وعليهم السلام. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد، وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني، وابدأ به أولا ثم الثانية والثالثة والرابع. اللهم العن يزيد خامسا، والعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجانة وعمر بن سعد وشمران وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم. الحمد لله على عظيم رزيتي. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود، وثبتني قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا مهجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Inshallah, before I start recitation, let's do a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني يحببكم الله فاتبعوني يحببكم الله ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم والله غفور رحيم قل أطيعوا الله والرسول فإن تولوا فإن الله لا يحب الكافرين إن الله اصطفى آدم ونوحا وآل إبراهيم وآل عمران على العالمين ذرية بعضها من بعض والله سميع عليم قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني يحببكم الله ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم والله غفور رحيم قل أطيعوا الله والرسول قل أطيعوا الله والرسول فإن تولوا فإن الله لا يحب الكافرين إن الله اصطفى آدم ونوحا إن الله ذرية بعضها من بعض والله سميع عليم. إذ قالت امرأة عمران رب إني نذرت لك ما في بطني محررا فتقبل مني. إني نذرت لك ما في بطني محررا فتقبل مني. إنك أنت السميع العليم. فلما وضعتها قالت رب إني وضعتها أنثى والله أعلم بما وضعت والله أعلم بما وضعت وليس الذكر كالأنثى. فلما وضعتها قالت رب إني وضعتها أنثى. قالت رب إني وضعتها أنثى والله أعلم بما وضعت وليس الذكر كالأنثى وإني سميتها مريم وإني أعيذها بك من الشيطان الرجيم. فتقبلها ربها بقبول حسن وأنبتها نباتا حسنا وكفلها زكريا كلما دخل عليها زكريا المحراب وجد عندها رزقا قال يا مريم أنى لك هذا قال يا مريم أنى لك هذا قالت هو من عند الله إن الله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب صدق الله العلي العظيم افلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد.
Thank you, Brother Mustafa, for that beautiful recitation, first of Ziyarat Ashura and then of the verses of Surah Al-Imran. Please thank him with your warm voices, with a warm salawat. May I humbly request that the brothers kindly just move yourself up and then come forward, please, so that those coming later can inshallah join us. Make it more of a majlis atmosphere. You can do so by reciting a loud salawat. We're sorry we're running slightly behind schedule due to several technical issues. And also we would request that the mu'mineen and mu'minat arrive promptly so that inshallah we can start on time. As I said, that the host of these majalis is not us. We're merely the facilitators of this program. The host of this majlis is Lady Zahra alayhi salam, is Lady Zainab alayhi salam, is Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. And as is said by our elders, we're told that when a majlis of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam is announced, the first to arrive and welcome the azadars, the mourners of Syed al-Shuhada, is the mother of Syed al-Shuhada. So if we think about the majlis and going to the majlis and our relationship in terms of attendance in time, then we should think that Zahra is waiting for us. So please, a very, very, very humble request. The advertised time for the majlis is 6:45. Unfortunately, there was very few of us here. We couldn't start, and then we apologize from our side that there were some technical issues. Can I now invite my first reciter for this evening? I'm looking for Muhammad Mujtaba Naqvi.
صلوات. हाय मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, हाय मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, हाय मज़लूम हुसैन, असरे आशूर मेरा लाल बड़ा प्यासा है, हाय मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, हाय मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, ये मोहम्मद का नवासा है, अली का बेटा, क्या खता है मेरे बेटे की, बताओ तो जरा, जालिमों क्यों इससे बेजुर्मों खता घेरा है, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, हाय मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, हाय तन्हाई का आलम की कोई पास नहीं, हाय कासिम नहीं अकबर नहीं अब्बास नहीं, या अली आओ मेरा लाल बड़ा तन्हा है, हाय मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, हाय मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, एक दिन में भरी लश्कर का भी गम देखा है, इसने अब्बास का अकबर का भी गम देखा है, दफन करके अली असगर को अभी आया है, हाय मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, हाय मज़लूम हुसैन, असरे आशूर मेरा लाल बड़ा प्यासा है, हाय मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, मेरा मज़लूम हुसैन, हाय चलनी है जिगर फिर भी नहीं रोया है, कितने दिन से तू मेरा लाल नहीं सोया है, आ मेरे गोद में सो जा तू बहुत जागा है, हाय मज़लूम हुसैन, salawat.
Hi, Mazloom Hussain, Mera Mazloom Hussain. I think that statement just summarizes the feelings that we are all going through and are feeling for Sayyid Shuhada alayhi salam. Please thank Muhammad Mujtaba for his beautiful recitation by reciting a loud salawat. Just a few housekeeping things before I invite my next guest. Just to let you know, brothers and sisters, that this program ends every night after namaz. So Sayyid Mahdi is going to be leading namaz maghrib every day. A lot of mu'mineen left, and there was about 5-10 of us with the Sayyid. And I think he stressed in his lecture about the importance of salah and praying. So I would request all the mu'mineen that for Maghrib time, be with us. You can interact with the Sayyid. He'll be leading namaz Maghrib every day, inshallah, to conclude the program. Second thing is that as the matam and the azadari is happening, there's a whole rush to leave the hall. We understand that these are school nights, and we understand that time is of the essence. But you have to also appreciate that these are the first 10 nights of the holy month of Muharram. They come only once a year, and we would ask that the parents just to allow their kids to participate in these programs, because the feeling and the attachment that we have with Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam is renewed and refreshed in these Majalis of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and that keeps you going. That's more educational than, to be honest, anything that you might find on the curriculum. I hope you understand my point. And again, the feedback from the Sayyid was that as the matam was happening, we didn't take part in the azadari, and we sort of just left the program. This caused also a practical problem, that everybody was rushing to leave. So on the car park, it took 15-20 minutes for the cars to exit. Please bear with us. We've got more people now on the parking side of things to help you. When you're leaving, please try to stay on the right side and exit on your side. And also don't drive over the grass. So if you want to exit from the main entrance, not driving over the grass, which is going to cause damage to this property, and that will obviously be a problem for us to deal with. So my humble request, that we are tenants and we've rented this place, so please respect this place. And again, similar for the usage of the toilets. So please, we're all Muslims here, we're all aware of tahara. If you go to the toilet, make sure that it's clean for the person after you. So this is very basic announcements. I really shouldn't be needing to, having to make them, but because of the state of affairs yesterday, I'm unfortunately having to address these issues. So I hope you don't take any of this personally, but it's just a humble feedback. Thank you. Salawat. Two other things. One is, if you are a young person and you are fit and healthy, and there is an elderly person who needs a chair, kindly make that chair available to that elderly or that pregnant lady. It shouldn't be the case that, in terms of the akhlaq, that, again, I'm talking again about akhlaq, that we hog the chair when we're perfectly capable on sitting on farsh aza of this majlis. So just be respectful of each other and those elderly people who might need that chair, or that disabled person who might need that chair. In fact, you will get the extra reward for respecting that person in the Majlis of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Finally, if you have young children and they're not settling in the audience, there is a solution that has been worked. There is a live feed outside in the marquee for mothers with babies or a child who's not settled. You can go there and there will be a majlis, the same majlis being live streamed outside, and you can listen to it in a more calm atmosphere. I hope you don't take that again personally. Thank you. Salawat. I would now like to invite Brother Syed Raza Abbas Ruzwi to come and pay his respects to Sayyid al-Shuhada. Please welcome Sayyid Raza Abbas Ruzwi with the loudest of your voices and warmest of your salawats as he makes his way up. Salawat.
शहीद सिब्त जाफ़र के मरसिया के चंद अशार दरूद भेजिए मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद पर। ऐ चाँद करबला के तूने तो देखे उतरे थे इस ज़मीं पर अर्शे बरी के तारे। ऐ चाँद जलवागर है हाशिम का चाँद यहाँ पर खैरात रोशनी की ले लीजियो यहाँ से। ऐ चाँद इस ज़मीं पर रखियो हमेशा ठंडक सोते जो हैं यहाँ पर ज़हरा के हैं ये प्यारे। ऐ चाँद तस्लीमो सलसबीलो कौसर के हैं ये मालिक मारे गए यहीं पर अंसार शाहिदी के। ऐ चाँद हुर और हबीब जैसे जांबाज और अहिब्बा मारे गए यहीं पर अंसार शाहिदी के। अरे मारे गए यहीं पर बेदर्दियों सितम से मुस्लिम के दोनों प्यारे ज़ैनब के दोनों बे रही थी कासिम की लाश रन में, अब्बास और सरवर चुनते थे उनके टुकड़े। ऐ चांद बाजू कटे यहीं पर, अब्बास बावफा के इज़्ने वगा न पाया, पानी भी ला न पाए। ऐ चांद पानी पिलाने लाए, एक महलका को सरवर की अज़बहा हुर्मला ने, तीरे सितम लगा के गर्दन छिदी बिसर की, बाजू छिदा पदर का, दोनों तड़प तड़प कर प्यासे जहां से गुजरे। ऐ चांद शहजादा ए जिनाही, मालिक है करबला का, किसकी मजाल आए जब तक न वो बुलाए। पहुँचा है करबला में, नाचीज़ सिबते जाफर, ऐ काश फिर मुकद्दर हमको ये दिन दिखाए। ऐ चाँद करबला के। दुरूद भेजे महमूद आल मोहम्मद।
Just a very quick announcement. This child has lost his parents, or he's basically lost. So if you've lost your child, he's here with me, and he's sat at the front, and he is not going anywhere. His father is called Hassan Raza, he tells me. So if your name is Hassan Raza, your kid is here with me. Your dad's over there. Go. Go. Salawat. So I guess this is a lesson. Please keep your children with you. If they're not with you, either enroll them in the crash. That's your responsibility. And may Allah protect all the young children for the sake of the children of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Salawat. A beautiful recitation from Raza Abbas Rizvi. the timeless words of Ustad Shaheed Sibte Jafar Zaidi, a poet who was mercilessly martyred in the city of Karachi about 9 years ago. He's in fact talking to the moon. For those of you who do not understand Urdu, he was saying, "O moon of Karbala, the stars of heaven had come down from the skies on this land." So he was speaking to the land of Karbala and the moon and the land of Karbala. So the poetry, I'm trying to translate it. I can't do it justice. I think it's really important that we, in this English program, give an opportunity to read the poetry of legends like Shaheed Sibte Jafar, be it in the language of Urdu, which a lot of us culturally are familiar with. And in fact, Maraje, for example, Sayyid Ali Khamenei and Sayyid Ali Sistani stress that if we're living in Western countries, we should be learning our languages of back home, be that the language of Arabic, be that the language of Farsi, or be that the language of Urdu, because they keep us grounded and related to the tragedy and through to the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So a request, I guess, if there are other reciters who wish to recite in Arabic or in Farsi, then come and speak to me and we'll see if we can accommodate you somehow in this particular program. Just to again stress that this program is being organized by the Manchester Community and Youth Project. It's being organized with a great deal of care, respect, love, inshallah. We wish to allow you to have the quality experience of having these majalis in commemoration of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. We have a very short video, so before I invite my next guest, I would like to play a very short organizational video which introduces some of our work, inshallah. So if I could get the AV team to play the video, and then we can perhaps reflect on some of our work.
Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. My name is Syed Musa Naqvi. I'm one of the founders and trustees of the Community and Youth Project. The Manchester Community and Youth Project is a non-profit organization committed to transforming lives and uplifting communities. Our aspiration is to become Manchester's leading social welfare organization whilst economically empowering Mu'mineen and young people. We aim to provide a cradle-to-grave service whilst building community bonds, whilst working on the principle of collectivism. The Manchester Community and Youth Project was founded in 2017 as an organization to provide loans and small grants to young people. We are an enabling organization helping in the development of skills and talent through social action. In a world where access to clean water, basic necessities, and opportunities for growth are often out of reach, we are one small organization striving to make a difference. Our recent projects include the installation of 5 reverse osmosis water plants addressing the critical issue of clean drinking water. These plants ensure that many rural communities have access to safe and clean drinking water while safeguarding their health and well-being. Continuing our work, we proudly work on the Water Hand Pumps project, which provides a critical lifeline to villages without access to clean water. We have installed over 500 hand pumps in rural areas which provide water for drinking, cooking and irrigation. During the holy month of Ramadan, we organize regular food drives which provide much needed food baskets to those families who are in need. These food baskets bring comfort and nourishment to families and ensure that no one goes to sleep hungry. Our commitment to spreading joy extends to the Eid season through our Eid gifts in orphanages. On Eid, we celebrate with those children who do not have families of their own, with these gifts bringing much needed smiles and a sense of belonging. Embracing the spirit of sacrifice, we organize the Qurbani project. This project ensures that families are in receipt of meat on the day of Eid, fostering a sense of solidarity and community. Empowering individuals with a brighter future, our skills development project equips underprivileged young people with the necessary skills. This ensures that young people are able to secure employment and break the cycles of poverty. In times of crisis, we stand united. Our organization responds quickly to natural disasters. For example, our work during the floods in Pakistan. Through our flood relief project, we provided food, medical supplies, winter kits, and much needed aid, as well as housing support to those affected communities. Together, we can create a world where everybody has access to clean drinking water, food, education, and a brighter future. So join us in making a lasting impact. Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching a video where I outlined some of our projects. You can find out more about our projects at the stalls downstairs. If you wish to support and donate to any of these projects, then you can do so. And again, this entire thing relies on your generous support. Without further ado, I would like to now invite my next guest, who is Brother Syed Khamis Abbas Rizvi, to come forward and pay his respects to Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Please welcome Khamis with a loud salawat.
बर मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद बुलंदतर सलावत। ला इलाहा तो पढ़ लिया, अब ले मज़ा तासीर का। ला तह के नीचे खून है शबीर का। ला इलाहा के पढ़ने वालों, ला इलाहा से पूछ लो। तो बच गया घर लुट गया शबीर का। ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह मोहम्मद रसूल अल्लाह की लाजवाल दरसगाह हुसैन है, न जिसकी कोई मिसाल है, न जिसकी कोई नज़ीर है। वो बेमिसाल शहंशाह हुसैन है। ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह मोहम्मद रसूल अल्लाह की लाजवाल दरसगाह हुसैन है। हुसैन रूहे कायनात है, हुसैन फख्रे मोजिज़ात है। हुसैन रूहे कायनात है, हुसैन फख्रे मोजिज़ात है। खुदा ने जिसको मरहबा है नफ्से मुतमईन कहा, खुदा ने जिसको मरहबा है नफ्स मुतमइन कहा, वो करबला का मुस्तफा हुसैन, हुसैन है ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह मुहम्मदुर रसूलल्लाह की लाजवाल दरसगाह हुसैन है। हरम में हश्र का समा हुआ, फुफी से जब सकीना ने कहा, हरम में हश्र का समा हुआ, फुफी से जब सकीना ने कहा, मुझे ना नींद आती है, मुझे ना नींद आती है, मैं सोऊं किसके सीने पर, कहाँ चला गया मेरा हुसैन, हुसैन है ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह मुहम्मदुर रसूलल्लाह की लाजवाल दरसगाह हुसैन है। ऐ हाशमी जवानों क्या हुआ, कहाँ चले गए हो बावफा, ऐ हाशमी जवानों क्या हुआ, कहाँ चले गए हो बावफा, सदा ये फातिमा की थी, सदा ये फातिमा की थी, के रन में कोई भी नहीं, अकेला रह गया मेरा हुसैन है ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह मुहम्मदुर रसूलल्लाह की लाजवाल दरसगाह हुसैन है। तड़प चुकी शबीए मुस्तफा, तड़प चुकी शबीए मुस्तफा, मगर हुसैन ही डटा रहा, तड़प चुकी शबीए मुस्तफा, मगर हुसैन ही डटा रहा, पिसर जवां की लाश पे, पिसर जवां की लाश पे है मुतमईन खड़ा रहा, वो फातिमा का लाडला हुसैन है ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह मुहम्मदुर रसूलल्लाह की लाजवाल दरसगाह हुसैन है। न जिसकी कोई मिसाल है, न जिसकी कोई नज़ीर है, न जिसकी कोई मिसाल है, न जिसकी कोई नज़ीर है, वो बेमिसाल शहंशाह हुसैन, हुसैन है ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह अल्लाहुम्मा।
Thank you, Brother Khamis, for that beautiful tribute to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The essence of La ilaha illallah is the personality of Sayyid al-Shuhada, Abu Abdullah. Thank you, Khamis. Please thank him by reciting a loud salawat. Brothers and sisters, there are over 1,800 people, mu'mineen and mu'minat, of the community who have registered, mashallah, to attend this Majlis, which is an amazing, amazing number for us as a community. Obviously, this is an appeal now on behalf of the organizers that this obviously is a quality venue. It costs a lot of money. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you the tawfiq that you have attended these programs and these majalis. And I'm only just going to say that I've heard from scholars that when you give in the name of Abu Abdullah alayhi salam, you should feel a pinch in your purse. I'm just going to say that, and you can reflect on that yourself. There's a very short appeal on behalf of the organizers of the Majlis, which will perhaps give one way in which you can contribute. If I could have the AV team please play that short clip.
Embrace the path of 313. Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam said, among the signs of the Mahdi's reappearance, 313 men, strong as the warriors of Badr, will join him. They will come from different directions, quickly responding to his call. This Muharram, MANCOM embarks on a sacred mission to honor the timeless legacy of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, along with fostering the spirits to join the companions of the Imam of our time. Our goal is to unite the Mu'mineen, each contributing £313 to support the commemorations of the Muharram Majalis. Let's nurture the spirit of Karbala in our youth and community, preparing our hearts for the return of our Imam. Let's embrace the spirit and path of 313 and revive the Azadari of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. Your contribution not only supports the Majalis, but also strengthens our collective commitment to keeping the essence of Karbala alive in the hearts of future generations. Stand with us. Let's become one of the 313.
Thank you very much for watching that. So that's just one suggested way that you could contribute. You might want to think you have a different way to contribute. You might want to take a standing order or a different avenue. Leave that to you. Salawat. I'd now be honored if my respected brother Syed John Rizvi comes up and gives his tribute to Sayyid al-Shuhada Abu Abdullah alayhi salam. Please welcome Sayyid John with a loud salawat.
ताजिल ज़हूर इमाम ज़बान बुलंदतर सलावत. खुशनूद इमाम ज़बान बुलंदतर सलावत. खुशनूद इमाम ज़बान बुलंदतर सलावत. सबसे पहले तहे दिल से शुक्रगुजार हूँ मैनकॉम का, तथीर भाई का, मूसा भाई का और उस अज़दारी में जो शरीक है। जनाब सैयदा इन तमाम काविशों को, मेहनतों को अपनी बारगाह में कबूल व मंजूर फरमाएँ। उससे पहले जिन जिन ज़ाकिरीन ने जनाब सैयदा की बारगाह में ड्यूटी पेश की, जनाब सैयदा इनको तमाम मिसरों को अपनी बारगाह में कबूल व मंजूर फरमाएँ। जहाँ जहाँ बीमार हैं, बीमार करबला के सदक़े जल्द अज जल्द सेहतयाब हो जाए। मुझे एक कलाम का हुक्म दिया गया है और जो टॉपिक पे मौलाना साहब आज गुफ्तगू करेंगे, बस उसको मेरे पास दामन वक्त में गुंजाइश कम है, केवल तशरीफ़ फरमाए, मैं ज़्यादा वक्त नहीं लूँगा आपका। एक बयान है एक बहन का जो मैं आपकी और अपनी जानिब से जनाब सैयदा की बारगाह में पेश करने लगा हूँ। एक दिल की गहराइयों से नारा सलावत। आज भी ज़ैनब के आते है सदा भाई हुसैन। आज भी ज़ैनब के आते है सदा भाई हुसैन। नाम मौला अपनी आवाज़ों को आज़ाद छोड़िएगा। हम इस अकीदे से फर्श अज़ा बिछाते हैं कि जनाब सैयदा खुद आती है, न जाने किस कोने में जनाब सैयदा बैठी होंगी और पुरसा। आज भी ज़ैनब की आते है सदा भाई हुसैन। तेरा चेहरा तेरी आँखें भूल कब पाए हुसैन। आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन। और चलते ना के से गिराया, खुद को जलती रेत पर चलते ना के से गिराया, खुद को जलती रेत पर। अरे गुठनियों के बल में तेरी लाश तक आई हुसैन। और बस में घबराई थी खंजर तुझ पे चलता देख कर। बस में घबराई
घबराई थी खंजर तुझ पे चलता देख कर फिर किसी मुश्किल में घिर कर मैं न घबराई हुसैन। और कौन था जो मरने वालों में नहीं था खूबरू। कौन था जो मरने वालों में नहीं था खूबरू। अरे भूलने बैठी तो किस की न याद आई हुसैन। अरे बेखरगे थे आँख से आंसू तेरी रुखसत के वक्त। फिर कोई आंसू न टपका आँख फतराई हुसैन। और दूर उफता दा सफर से लौट कर मैंने नवे दूर उफ्तादा सफर से लौट कर मैंने नवे। अरे ठंडा पानी जब पिया बस तेरी याद आई हुसैन। आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन। ताजिल ज़हूर इमाम ज़बान बुलंद सलाम।
Even today, Zainab calls out, "Oh, my brother Hussein." That was Sayyid John Rizvi. Please thank Sayyid John by reciting a loud salawat. Few housekeeping issues that I've just been alerted to. If you've lost your mobile phone, it's been handed over to me. You can come and collect it from me. It's in my pocket. Second, the creche facility is a children's workshop facility. It's not a babysitting facility. It's a children's workshop facility, which is on offer every day from 7:30 till 9. So if you're late, they won't accept the child. There's only limited spaces and they have to plan. So please be prompt in attending. Please be prompt in attending. And the crash or children's facility finishes at 9 o'clock. There are 2 cars which need to be moved. They're parked in front of the marquee. The number plates are BF16GYV and BV18L2T. Can you kindly please, if they're your cars, kindly please move them. Thank you very much. Can I request that the brothers slightly get up and fill the space at the front with a loud salawat. A number of mu'mineen and mu'minat have already sponsored a number of the programs and have requested a Fatiha for their loved ones, which is one of the best ways for giving thawab to their mu'mineen in organizing a Majlis in the remembrance of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. I don't have a slide up today with the names, but inshallah we will endeavor in future nights to have a slide up with the names of all those who have contributed to this Majlis and wish to have their marhumeen honored through this recitation of the Surah Al-Fatiha. If you wish to give the name of your marhumeen, you can do, and you can speak to one of the volunteers at the stalls downstairs, and they'll be displayed each night on the projector. But just as a general Fatiha for all the mu'mineen and mu'minat who have passed away, let's recite together a Surah Al-Fatiha. Salawat. A bit more of an enthusiastic salawat. The last day of Dhul Hijjah, a man too afraid to die. Hussein is a sojourner here in this foreign wilderness. He is Gharib al-Watan, in a desolate, barren land far away from the sanctuary of his grandfather in Medina. It is the eve of the 29th of Dhul Hijjah. The day has gone by. The caravan of Hussein has crossed Qatqatana. Kufa is just 15 miles away. The villages of Taf and the desert of Nineveh await Hussein. In the day, he passed Qasr Bani Maqatil. Hur and his battalion have pressed him in a stretch of wilderness with abandoned forts built during wars of early Islamic expansion. This night, on the eve of Muharram, Imam al-Hussein gazes into the skies. He sees the crescent moon of Muharram. The color of his face starts to change. He recites, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We are from Allah, and to Him is our return. We are going towards death, the death which will be given to us by merciless murderers. Qasr Bani Maqatil, 40 kilometers from Karbala. After spending a portion of the night, Imam al-Hussein moves on. Before leaving, Imam al-Hussein orders his companions to fill up with as much water as is possible. He is exhausted by the travel. Once again, he fell asleep on horseback. His dreams have been vivid. You are speeding, yet death is speedily taking you to paradise. A horseman whispers to him in his dream. He wakes up from his dream with the words of al-istirja, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. He repeats these words several times. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. His doting son is listening. He walks over to Hussein. Akbar, may Allah never permit you to see an evil. Are we not on the right path? Imam al-Hussein replies, we are, by the one to whom all servants shall return. O father, in that case, we do not mind at all having to die so long as we are right. May Allah reward you, O Akbar, for being such a good son with the best of rewards, whereby he rewards a son on behalf of his father. O Hussein, how obedient and brave is Akbar. He is ready to fall upon death itself. His priorities are clear. He is a young man with his whole life ahead of him. He is a young man ready to sacrifice his beautiful days for the values of truth, for Islam, and for he believes in. And they march on till they arrive at Nainawa. Zuhair advises Imam al-Hussein to engage with horse forces. He has only 1,000 men. Imam al-Hussein replies, I shall not be the one who fights them first. Zuhair advises him to make for a village or on the meander of the Euphrates. Al-Aqr is its name. It is strategic, it is defendable, and Hur has only 1,000 men. But Aba Abdullah replies, and we seek refuge with Allah against the hamstringing. Imam al-Hussein's arrival in Karbala is imminent. And to elaborate more on this, I would like you to welcome Syed Mahdi Al Modarresi with the salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصل اللهم على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين سيما بقية الله في الأرضين وحجته على الخلائق أجمعين سيدنا وإمام زماننا وولي نعمتنا مهدي هذه الأمة وطاووس أهل الجنة الحجة ابن الحسن العسكري فداه أرواح العالمين اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Say it from the bottom of your hearts. يا صاحب الزمان 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 عجل على ظهورك. For the hastening of the reappearance of the Master, the Savior, the Avenger, Al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan al-Askari, the host of these Majalis, and the mourner of Aba Abdullah every day and every night, and for consolations to be brought to his blessed heart, recite aloud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli. My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On his way to Karbala, Imam al-Hussein encountered multiple people, a myriad of individuals from different backgrounds and different persuasions. Some were friendly, others not so much. But none of those encounters crystallizes this dichotomy, this disparity, the stark difference that existed between the various people that the Imam encountered, like his encounter with an individual named Al-Farazdaq. He was a poet, he was an individual who was quite noteworthy, And he was sympathetic to the Imam. As the Imam proceeded towards Kufa, Al-Farazdaq was leaving Kufa. So when the encounter happened, the Imam asked him a question. He said, how did you leave the city of Kufa? In other words, how would you evaluate the Kufans? What's the mood like? What's the atmosphere like in the city that I am heading towards with my family, my companions, my children, and my women? Al-Farazdaq summed it all up. He said to the Imam, Ya Aba Abdullah, if I'm being truthful, I must say to you that the people of Kufa are described as such. قُلُوبُهُمْ مَعَكْ وَسُيُوفُهُمْ عَلَيْكَ. Their hearts are with you, but their swords are ready to be unsheathed against you. It sounds odd for us to say this now. How could an individual or a community simultaneously love Imam al-Hussein, love the Hujjah and the proof of Allah, but be ready to pull their swords and to strike him at the same time? How is that even possible? Well, as we shall see, this is not an extreme case scenario. This is possible. It happened in Kufa, and it will happen again, because this sits at the very core of human nature. The Imam responded to Al-Farazdaq with a set of now famous words. What did he say? He said, Inna nas abidu dunya والدين لعق على ألسنتهم يحوطونه ما درت معائشهم فإذا حل البلاء قل الديانون. Incredible words of wisdom, completely disrobing human nature at its worst and providing a diagnosis for a disease that the majority of people suffer from. The Imam said to him, surely people are enslaved to this world. They're enslaved to their base desires. They serve no master the way they serve their temptation. الناس عبيد الدنيا. They're not slaves of God. They're slaves of this lowly world. Whatever makes them comfortable, whatever makes them happy, whatever gives them joy. الناس عبيد الدنيا. Number one. Number two, in other words, the Imam is setting allegiances. He's saying the allegiance that most people have, the drive that they possess, the inclinations that push them in different directions are based on this servitude towards the dunya. Number one. Number two, the Imam says, وَالدِّينَ, as for religion, what role does it play? لَعِقٌ عَلَىٰ أَلْسِنَتِهِمْ. Religion is but a lick of their tongue. What's a lick of the tongue? Saliva serves many purposes in the mouth. At least this is how I understand the statement of the Imam. Saliva isn't something of critical importance to most people. It's not something people think about. But it serves one major purpose. It's not something people enjoy having. That's why they throw it out. They spit it out. But what it does is, whenever your mouth gets dry, we use the saliva, just a tiny bit of it, in order to moisturize our tongue. It's a lick of the tongue. Religion, for most people, the Imam says, is a lick of the tongue, meaning that they resort to religion only to moisturize their lives, only to seek some comfort and solace In the face of adversity, in the face of affliction, when they have a problem, they might turn to God. Most people do that. When they have an important exam to sit tomorrow, suddenly they turn to God. The prayer they perform acquires a new meaning for them. They try not to rush through it because I need God tomorrow. When they have someone who's ill and is being hospitalized, suddenly the way they practice their religious rituals becomes more meaningful, becomes denser, and becomes perhaps takes a little bit longer. And so the Imam says, وَالدِّينُ لَعِقٌ عَلَىٰ أَلْسِنَتِهِمْ يَحُوطُونَهُ مَا دَرَّتْ مَعَائِشُهُمْ. They will resort to this religion, this form of spirituality, as long as it serves their livelihood. It serves their interest. If it's something that benefits them, whether it is to seek comfort in the face of trials and tribulations, or when it comes to seeking status in the social sphere, or when it serves another purpose, maybe they want to get elected perhaps, and so they know their electorate is one that prioritizes spirituality and devotion and other religious values like being honest and trustworthy and so on. And so suddenly they all become the most religious people. That's why presidential candidates, that's why, people who are seeking a political office are often seen towards the end of the deadline before the elections take place. They're seen going to church, right? Ma darrat ma'aishuhum. They'll keep the saliva in their mouth. As long as they get what they need from it, they'll spit it out. فَإِذَا, the Imam says, مُحِّصُوا بِالْبَلَاءِ. When they are tested, when they're put to the trial, then those who abide by religion become only a few. قَلَّ الدَّيَّانُونَ. Those who are truly religious will be very small in numbers. The majority will abandon religion when they feel that there is a conflict between their livelihood, between their interests, between their enjoyment. Religion becomes a secondary issue, or it gets abandoned altogether. Now, the question is, this was the state of the people in Kufa. Is this something that's relevant to me? Could I ever find myself in that position? And the answer is without a doubt. Without a doubt. Potentially, we may fall into this pit. Which is why I wish to talk about a subject that I feel is incredibly relevant and significant in our spiritual journeys as we progress closer and closer to the ark of salvation. Our chances of boarding the ark of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam hinge on a number of factors. This is one of the most important. That's why we need to pay close attention. And it has to do with how people balance. Once again, Imam al-Hussein is talking about religiosity versus livelihood. How do we balance our modern lifestyles and religious tradition and values? How does that balance occur? What do we prioritize? What's the thinking process, the thought process that goes into deciding which of these two choices I'm going to make? Because these choices will confront you often on a daily basis, and you have to have a very solid foundation in order to make the right choice. That's number one. Number two, my dear brothers and sisters, last year, after the day of Ashura, I gave a series of one-off lectures in different centers. One of them was called, Can AI replace a marja? Can artificial intelligence ever take the place of a jurist? And it's available online. In that lecture, I talk about the characteristics and the required set of prerequisites for a pious scholar. What does it mean to be a jurist, a faqih, a mujtahid, a marja. So I delineated on those characteristics and traits in that lecture. But what I want to touch upon tonight is the antithesis of that. In other words, I want to talk about the telltale signs of a charlatan, of an imposter. Because history, the annals of history are filled with these kinds of charlatans who have tried to exploit religion and religious sentiments for their personal benefit. Now, whether they're driven by a desire to remain relevant, or perhaps they're driven by base temptations, right? Whether it's to enrich themselves, whether it is for them to maintain positions of authority in the community, whether it's fame and attracting people's attention, which is one of the strongest and most dangerous desires that we all possess, that has to be tamed and controlled. Whatever the drive, whatever the justification in their mind happens to be, that's another topic for another day. However, there is no doubt that throughout history, charlatans, imposters, liars, cunning deceivers have tried to exploit religion in order to get people's attention and access to power and money and women and so on and so forth. And given that we've had this threat throughout history, it's absolutely critical that we're able to identify a genuine scholar from someone who falls into this category. One of the most important telltale signs is what? It is a scholar who attempts to offer concessions and compromises to their flock. In other words, they loosen religious rules in order to make religion easier. Now, why do they do that? Because remember, we already said that for most people, religion is just a lick of the tongue. In other words, they want to keep up appearances. They want to identify with a particular religious community. They wish to be labeled as devout and pious and religious, but in reality, they feel there's a constant struggle and tension and conflict between their desired lifestyle and their religious values. So the best way out of this conundrum is if they find a scholar who gives them a blank check and who says to them, you know what, you want to do this? That's fine. You want to do that? That's okay. Put it on my neck. Don't worry. Religion doesn't even say this. Religion's not that strict. And so they begin to offer concessions to people in order to lure them in their direction. Which is why most of these imposters, you won't find them when they come in and they address their people. They do so in the name of reform, right? They say that we are reforming religion. And of course, they'll make references to the Quran, they'll make references to the Prophet, they'll even make references to Imam Al Hussain. إِنَّمَا خَرَجْتُ لِطَلَبِ الْإِصْلَاحِ فِي أُمَّةِ جَدِّي. I didn't come out in order to seek adventure or in order to oppress people. I came out in order to seek reform in the religion of my grandfather and the religion of my father. طلب الإصلاح. So it's a very, if you like, enticing topic, isn't it? We're about reform. We're about fixing what's broken. We're about restoring religious values to their original pristine forms. Who doesn't like to hear those words? When they speak about reform, when they speak about restoration, this is going to grab people's attention. Now, if reform is what you're looking for, why is it that you almost never make religion more difficult? It's always the other way around. Surely, if religion's been corrupted, then parts of this religion have been made more difficult, and we're talking about fiqh here. We're talking about matters of jurisprudence. Surely parts of the religion have been corrupted in a positive way, meaning there's been an inflation of religious rites and rituals, right? And other parts have been subjected to a deficit of rites and rituals. In other words, you never see them say, instead of performing Salat al-Fajr in 2 units, you must do so in 6 units. You never see them tell you that instead of paying 20% of your disposable income in the form of khums, you must pay 30%. No, it's always concessions. Instead of 20%, it's 10%. Instead of 10%, it's 2%. Instead of that, in fact, don't pay khums at all. Just pay your zakat. Right? They never say that instead of circumambulating around the Kaaba 7 times, you should do so 20 times, 50 times, 100 times. So what they do is they provide concessions, compromises. In other words, religion is a shop and everything is on a steep discount. It's a bargain store. Why? Because they're trying to attract the ones who don't wish to abide by religious laws. If they came and said that this religion's too easy, we need to make it more difficult, we need to add to the rules of this religion in order to cover the deficit, they won't attract many followers. They might attract a few idiots, but the vast majority of people, especially those with a particular lifestyle, with lots of money to spare, they won't come to these people. And so one of the biggest telltale signs is the fact that they give concessions. There was a man after the Holy Prophet, in his name and in his honor, recite aloud salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. This man's name was Musaylama. Some of you might have heard his name or of him. Musaylama, as soon as the Prophet passed from this world, he announced that he was a prophet. In other words, prophethood did not end with our holy messenger. He was now inspired by God to spread his new self-proclaimed religion and abrogate the religion of Islam. In other words, he's not a successor of Rasulullah. Somebody else already stole that position. This guy is like, okay, if I'm not going to be able to steal the succession and the khilafah, I might as well just be another prophet. So he became known as Musaylama al-Kadhab, Musaylama the liar. He even fabricated his own version of the Quran. He concocted this scripture which is absolutely laughable. It's comical. It makes no sense. Some of the words rhyme with each other. There are some verses of poetry in it, but absolute nonsense. Concurrently with Musaylama al-Kadhab, because it's a free-for-all, if Musaylama can be a prophet, surely anyone can. A woman also made the same claim. She said, Musaylama might be a prophet, but I'm a prophetess. She was one of the earliest feminists of the day. And so she's like, why just Musaylama? I'm a prophetess. Now, both of them are charlatans. Both of them are liars. Both of them are imposters. And so inevitably, they're going to clash. Because they're trying to basically access the same base, the same pool of morons. And so they clashed. Musaylama thought to himself that I need to consolidate my power, and so for me to be able to establish myself, I need to appease this woman. Her name was Sujah. So he reached out to her and he said, look, how about we consolidate our power and get married? That way, all of our followers can come together as one big community of cows. And so they did get married. As it turns out, Sujah was not really seeking prophethood. She was looking for a husband. And so as soon as she married Musaylama, she conceded that I'm going to be one of the followers of Musaylama now. You were a prophetess just 2 days ago. Now all of a sudden, you know what, I concede the elections to my competitor, to my opponent, and I'm one of his followers now. After they got married, the day of the wedding, Musaylama came out and he said that I wish to offer a gift, a dowry to my new bride, Sujah, and the dowry is a gift for all of you. Salat is no longer obligatory. Concessions, compromises. That's how you get people's attention, right? You don't make it more difficult, you make it easier. And this is something that's happened throughout the ages. None of this is new. None. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, listen to these verses. He tells us about previous attempts that were made to pressure God's prophets and messengers into providing concessions. People would come to various prophets and say, if only you would compromise or concede on this point or that point, I'm with you. Because ultimately, they're not submitting to the prophet. The reason many people joined the holy messenger of God was for nefarious purposes and objectives. They were looking for status, they realized that this is a winning formula. This religion's gonna make it. And so, if you can't beat them, join them. Now, these kind of people who don't wish to adhere to religious teachings and don't even believe in the tenets of this faith, they're going to try everything they can in order to get the prophet to lean towards them, to give them a few discounts here and there. I'll share a few examples with you. In Surah Al-A'raf, verse number 128, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala quotes Prophet Musa. قال موسى لقومه, he said to his people, the Israelites, استعينوا بالله واصبروا, seek help from Allah. Don't ask me for discount, bargain deals. Ask Allah for help so that you could abide by the teachings of your religion. استعينوا بالله واصبروا, be patient. إن الأرض لله, and I'm making a promise, the land belongs to God. يورثها من يشاء من عباده والعاقبة للمتقين. Allah will inherit the earth to whomever He wishes from among His servants, and the ultimate abode belongs to those who are pious. Be pious. Abide by the rules of your faith, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant you this earth and all of the beautiful things in them. What did they say to Musa? Listen. قالوا أوذينا من قبل أن تأتينا. Hang on a second, hang on. Before you came, in order to save us from the Pharaoh, we were being hurt. We had a difficult life. We were miserable, thanks to the Pharaoh and his oppression. Before you came, we were miserable. وَمِن بَعْدِ مَا جِئْتَنَا, and when you came, all of a sudden, do this, don't do that, avoid this, uphold that. In other words, we weren't looking for someone to come and teach us how to get closer to God. We were looking for someone to come and save us, rid us of the oppression of Fir'aun, and all of a sudden you give us all of these tablets, all of these rules, all of these long list of sins and transgressions and obligations and prohibitions. أُوذِينَا مِن قَبْلِ أَن تَأْتِيَنَا وَمِن بَعْدِ مَا جِئْتَنَا. So then Musa said to them, قَالَ عَسَى رَبُّكُمْ أَن يُهْلِكَ عَدُوَّكُمْ. Just wait. God will destroy your enemy. وَيَسْتَخْلِفَكُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ, and He will make you successors, meaning He will allow you to inherit the earth. Just wait. Be patient. So you see these attempts that were made in order to persuade the prophets or pressure them into offering concessions. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Taha, verse 88, He mentions this, that when the Israelites came to, when they were saved and they crossed the sea, they were traversing the land along with Musa and Harun, when they came across these villages where they had idols and they were worshiping these idols. And you know, there's something about the desire of human beings to worship something they can touch, they can see, they can feel, they can hear, right? This whole idea of symbols and emblems, right? There's a desire for people towards what they might call artistic expression. And so they're like, you know, you're telling us to worship this ineffable God who's indescribable, who's beyond our five senses. Look at these people. They have idols, and the idols look so good. They're nice. They're made of like gems and gold and whatnot. Ij'al lana ilahan. Give us a God like their gods. We want to see it. We want to touch it. We want to feel it. So Musa goes off on his journey. Long story short, ووعدنا موسى 30 ليلة وأتممناها ب10 فتم ميقات ربي 40 ليلة وقال موسى لأخيه هارون اخلفني في قومي وأصلح ولا تتبع سبيل المفسدين. Musa said to his brother Harun, be my successor. He appointed him as his successor on day one of their mission, as well as on this incident. Sallallahu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Rasulullah famously declared, Ya Ali anta minni bimanzilati Harun min Musa. Anyway, Musa comes back. What's happened? فأخرج لهم عجلا جسدا له خوار فقالوا هذا إلهكم وإله موسى فنسي. Samari has taken over by offering this concession to the Israelites. Musa won't give it to you, but I will. In fact, this golden calf that I've built using your gold, it's not like he did it out of his own pocket, because the whole point is to attract attention, become relevant, and sure, enrich himself. So he's not going to spend it from his pocket. That's why you see all of these televangelists and whatnot always begging people. Like half their sermons are about asking for donations. They've got private jets, they've got these mansions, but they're always asking for more, right? So he came to the Israelites, he said, give me all your gold. He took everything they had, he built and sculpted this calf and said, هذا إلهكم وإله موسى. This is your God, and it's also the God of Musa. Musa just doesn't know it. Fanesi, Musa's forgotten, but that's his actual God, right? And so what happened? By the time Musa gets back, everybody's worshiping this idol. You've just been saved, miracle after miracle after miracle. You've seen it all with your eyes. Musa left you for 40 nights. Not like he was away for 20 years. It was 40 nights. And by the time he gets back, they're beating Harun. They all turned against him. Oh, how could the entire community of Muslims turn against Ali ibn Abi Talib if he was truthful? How dare you say that they attacked the house of Fatima al-Zahra? Look at the Quran. Look at what they did to Harun. أن القوم استضعفوني. O son of my mother, Harun said to him. He said, look, they weakened me. They cornered me. They attacked me. They ambushed me. So, that's one example. The other example has to do with Rasulullah. Listen, Surah Al-Isra, verse number 73. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِن كَادُوا لَيَفْتِنُونَكَ عَنِ الَّذِي أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ. They, meaning the hypocrites, the disbelievers, the worshippers and the slaves of the dunya, they actually thought they could sway you in their direction, لِتَفْتَرِي عَلَيْنَا غَيْرَهُ, so that you might bring about quotes that are ascribed to us, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which God never said. Come up with new rules, innovate, bring something new, something more relevant, something that's actually relevant in the 21st century, man. You're still talking to me about rules that were set in the 6th century, 7th century, in the Arabian Peninsula, which was inhabited by a bunch of nomads? I want something relevant. Science has advanced. The human civilization has grown, developed. Allah says to the Prophet, they actually thought they stood a chance to pressure you and to push you so that you could innovate things and ascribe them to us. وَإِذَنْ لَاتَّخَذُوكَ خَلِيلًا. And had you done that, they would have embraced you. They would have taken you as their friend, as their intimate friend. In other words, it works. That's why every charlatan resorts to these tricks, because they know it works, it yields results. إِذَنْ لَاتَّخَذُوكَ خَلِيلًا. Then Allah issues a stern warning to His beloved Prophet. وَلَوْلَا أَن ثَبَّتْنَاكَ لَقَدْ كِدْتَ تَرْكَنُ إِلَيْهِمْ شَيْئًا قَلِيلًا. But we preserved you, we protected you, we guarded you, we gave you the strength not to yield, not to give in to their demands. And had you done that, لَأَذَقْنَاكَ ضَعْفَ الْحَيَاةَ وَضَعْفَ الْمَمَاتِ. We would have punished you. Allahu Akbar. Another example, again in the Holy Quran, Surah Al-Ra'd. I want to give you a couple of real life examples to make this even easier to digest. But I want to read these verses. وَلَئِنِ اتَّبَعْتَ أَهْوَاءَهُمْ بَعْدَ مَا جَاءَكَ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ مَا لَكَ مِنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ وَلِيٍّ وَلَا وَاقٍ. O Messenger, if you follow their desire, having received the knowledge that we have given you, then you will have no one to protect you or guard you against Allah and His wrath. In other words, God will be your enemy. Imagine Allah having to say this to His beloved messenger. Obviously, not because the Prophet was prone to succumbing to their pressure, but this is a warning to everybody else. In other words, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Not a chance. Another verse, Surah Al-Qalam. وَدُّوا, O Prophet, لَوْ تُدْهِنُ فَيُدْهِنُونَ. They would love for you to be a little more lenient, and in response to your leniency, they would also be more lenient. It's a give and take. Scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. In other words, if the Prophet was looking for popularity, if he was looking for hits and views and fame and respect, Allah is telling him, this is how you could get it. Obviously the Prophet wouldn't do it. But the point here is, if you yielded to them, if you offered concessions to them, they would actually follow you. Let me give you an example. There was a war that broke out between the Holy Messenger and the people of Ta'if. The conquest of Ta'if. Very long story short, the Prophet and the Muslim army went to Ta'if, which is in the north of the Arabian Peninsula. The troops of the idolaters, they took refuge inside their fortress, inside their city. So there was a siege that lasted for a whole month. A siege of Muslims against the city of Ta'if. After the month lapsed, the people of Ta'if, the idolaters, they realized that they had no way out of this problem that they were in, so they said to the Prophet, we'd like to negotiate. Rasulullah said, fine. So they sent a delegation to negotiate with the Messenger of God and make a list of demands. The first thing they said was this. They said, okay, we will become Muslims. We'll embrace your religion. We will accept you as our prophet. We just want one thing. After you die, we want you to give the succession to us. Subhanallah. This is found in Sunni as well as Shia books. They said, we will get to choose who your successor is. at a time when the Prophet's authority was fragile, at a time when he could use all the help he could get. They're a very powerful and big tribe. All the Prophet had to do to get them all to become Muslims and follow him and defend him and protect him was to say, once I'm dead, choose my successor. The Prophet said, I don't choose my own successor. Allah chooses him. Inni ja'aluka fil ardi khalifa. Allah is the one who uses ja'al, appointment from Allah for the successor of every single prophet. Oh, it's a democracy. 5 people gathered around in some tent and they chose the Prophet's successor. Rasulullah said, even I don't get to choose him. God chooses him. I simply announce who he is. I simply make the declaration and officiate the appointment. Otherwise it is God who chooses him. So no. They said, okay, if that's the case, we want you to give us a discount in the area of salat. We'll do everything else you want, we just don't want to pray. The Prophet said, no. They said, okay, remove this portion of salat. Maybe we could pray without wudu. Maybe we could pray without taking our shoes off for wudu. Maybe we could do this, maybe we could do that. Let's work something out, man. Meet us halfway. Give us something. The Prophet kept saying, no, no, no. No concessions. No discounts. Nothing. Then it got to the point where they're like, okay, we'll do everything you want. We just have an issue with sujood. And they made the case that our problem with sujood is that our backsides will be higher than our foreheads. And we won't accept that. Our foreheads, our head is more lofty. It's just the most important organ in the body. It has to stay high. And so the problem with sujood is we don't want our backside to be higher than our heads. So subtract sujood and we will embrace your religion right now. We'll give you our full pledge of allegiance. Rasulullah said, no. No concessions. God's religion can't be tampered with. Don't play with the rules set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't ever do that. There is a big difference, brothers and sisters. Don't get me wrong. Try and understand where I'm coming from. There's a big difference between someone who says hijab is not wajib. It's made up, it's fabricated, it's not a part of Islam. It's not mentioned in the Quran. And list all of these justifications. And someone who acknowledges the obligation of hijab, but says, it's too difficult, I can't do it right now, I'm not there yet, I'm still on my journey, and all the stuff that you've heard. There's a big difference between these two camps. The second one stands a chance. The one that acknowledges their shortcoming and says that I accept hijab to be wajib, but I'm too weak, is much better. There's no comparison between them and the one who denies hijab to begin with. Or the one who says salat is not wajib. That's why, brothers and sisters, following those charlatans, those imposters, those liars, those false prophets is so dangerous, because they won't provide justifications. They'll simply deny the whole thing. They'll say that this is no longer applicable to our time. They issue an entire edict signed off by people with turbans that says dogs are not impure. Dogs are as pure as anything else. But where did you come up with that from? Oh, Surah Ashab al-Kahf. The story of Ashab al-Kahf. You know how the Quran talks about the dog, right? The dog was like a member of this group, a member of the family. Surely dogs can't be najis. What's this got to do with that? That's not how it works. That's not how fiqh works. Someone who's been to the Islamic seminary for 2 years will understand just how pathetic and absurd and nonsensical these arguments are. 1-page edict. All of the ahadith, all of the established traditions of the Prophet and the family of the Prophet that say dogs are impure. And if they ever touch anything, if they happen to be wet, if they, for instance, touch it with their tongues, it becomes najis. If they touch a plate or a bowl or any other vessel used for eating or drinking, it has to be purified in a special way. You have to use dirt and you have to use water and you have to do, they're najis. But because people nowadays, having watched all those Disney cartoons and whatnot, our kids have grown up seeing dogs as these beautiful, fluffy pets that they wish to have. In order to attract this crowd, they're not even najis. You want to have a dog for a pet? Sure, knock yourself out. Do whatever you want. I said to somebody recently, again in response to these charlatans, they've issued a long essay arguing that hijab is not wajib. It's not wajib. Based on what exactly? Based on conjecture. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns us against this in the Holy Quran in multiple verses. إِن يَتَّبِعُونَ إِلَّا الظَّنَّ. They follow conjecture. They speculate. They're like, why did God make an injunction or make hijab obligatory? It was for women's protection. How do you know? Where did you come up with that from? That's the literal definition of conjecture. That's speculation. Who says it's because of? It's like saying, why did Allah say we should fast? Because the fast diet is so trendy now and everybody's doing it and it's good for your health. Says who? Bring me one hadith, not a verse, a hadith that says fasting was ordained so that you could become healthy. Not a single reference. Who told you that? That's what conjecture is. That's what speculation is. In fact, the Quran says that we have ordained fasting upon you as we have for people prior to you, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you would become pious, attain piety. It's got nothing to do with health. Maybe it does have health benefits, but that's not the reason. That's not God's objective. If you claim to know God's objective, you're a liar. You're someone who's resorting to speculation. And the Quran warns about that. They've written this whole thing that hijab was for women's protection. And so now if a woman is driving in her brand new car and no man can touch her on the highway, on the streets, she doesn't need protection anymore. So she doesn't have to wear the hijab. So I said to somebody, I said, imagine if you felt sick and you saw all of these symptoms that would concern you and make you feel like there's something really wrong. Excruciating pain, headaches, backaches, you're vomiting blood, or God knows, may Allah protect us from all of this. But imagine this happens to you. You see some strange things happening with you, and you go and see a specialist, an expert. The expert says, you know what? God forbid, may Allah protect all of them. The lovers of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, you have a very aggressive, malignant, cancerous tumor that needs to be operated on immediately. So you're like, I need to get a second opinion. You go to another doctor, another specialist, and he says the same thing, and a third, and a fourth, and a fifth. Hypothetically speaking, imagine you go and see 1,000 doctors and they all say the same thing. But for whatever reason, because you don't want to go under the knife or you don't want to believe that you're in danger, you come across this guy who's done like a 4-year stint at medical school, and he says, like, he takes your pulse, for example, or he just looks at your pupils in your eye or something like that, and he says to you, nope, you're perfectly fine, you're healthy as a horse, you've got nothing to worry about, no treatment, no chemo, no surgery, nothing. I said, what do you think would be the reasonable thing to do? 1,000 doctors who are qualified telling you you need to be treated ASAP, and one random dude saying, no, you don't need treatment. What's the right thing to do? He said, obviously following the advice of all of those doctors. So I said to him, 1,000 years since the time of Shaykh al-Tusi, let alone the time of the Imams alayhimus salam, but we're talking about the era of the jurists. Since the time of Shaykh al-Tusi, 1,000 years, there's been consensus among all the scholars that hijab is wajib, that dogs are impure, that all of these things that they're trying to provide concessions for are flagrantly wrong. And now some random guy comes out in some town or village or city in the UK or elsewhere and says to you that it's perfectly fine. And you see so many people flocking to them. What is wrong with us? Where are we headed with this? Do we then wonder why the traditions tell us that when the awaited Savior, may Allah hasten his reappearance, the 12th Imam, when he comes back, يَأْتِ بِدِينٍ جَدِيدٍ, he will present to people a religion they weren't familiar with. They will look at that religion and they'll be like, but that's not my generative AI system told me. But that's not what this random professor or doctors told me. Because it'll be so alien to them. Listen to this hadith. I won't take too much of your time. There were so many other examples I wanted to share. Maybe we'll leave them for another night. Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam says, يَكُونُ Allahumma salli. He says, يَكُونُ فِي آخِرِ الزَّمَانِ سلام الله على الحسين اللهم صل على محمد. In the latter days, there will be a group of people, مُرَاءُونَ يَتَقَرَّؤُونَ وَيَتَنَسَّكُونَ. These are people with pomp. These are people who act in a very professional manner. They try to present themselves as being religious and devout. يَتَقَرَّؤُونَ, they recite the Quran. وَيَتَنَسَّكُونَ, and they spend long hours in worship, and they go to Hajj and Umrah and so on. The Imam then says, لا يوجبون أمرا بالمعروف أمرا بمعروف ولا نهيا عن المنكر. But when it comes to enjoining the good, forbidding evil, telling people that what you're doing is wrong, they disregard all of that because it's uncomfortable, let's face it. Especially when a sin becomes so prevalent, so ubiquitous, so popular. Everybody's doing it now. How many women are posting pictures of themselves in attractive clothing and full makeup and so on social media? When it becomes so normalized, despite the fact that all of our maraja, once again, unanimously agree that to beautify yourself and present yourself in public is haram. But it's so ubiquitous, it's so prevalent that who's going to stand up and say this is wrong? It's not going to attract any followers to me. It's not going to enrich me. It's not going to make me famous. I have to be a people pleaser in this day and age. I have to say the things people want to hear, not the stuff they need to hear. And in order for me to maintain that position and to get the hits and the views and the likes and the comments and whatnot, I have to say things that would either please them or at least distract them from the problems they actually have. Intoxicate them. Talk about the most irrelevant topics. Talk about things that have zero bearing on their lives and on the problems they suffer from. I've always said that a Majlis of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein has to serve two primary purposes. This is what we've learned from our teachers, our scholars, our maraja. Number one, to mourn Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. That is critical. It's not a side note. It's not a footnote. Imam al-Hussein is central to these majalis. His tragedy is central The tears that flow out are central, number one. Number two, it is to speak inconvenient truths to people. It is to tell them what they need to hear. Obviously, do so with kindness and compassion and because you care. But don't skip over these topics and talk about irrelevant, pathetic, junk things. That's a difference between good, nutritious food and junk food. Junk food makes you feel content. It makes you feel satisfied. You walk out of the lecture hall and you're like, wow, what a great lecture. But really all you've done is feed your soul junk lectures. You need good, nutritious topics that are grounded and based on the traditions of the Ahlul Bayt, on the words of Allah and His Messenger. Lectures that connect you to the Imam of the time. Lectures that make you yearn to join Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And that make you want to abandon your old ways and be among his supporters and followers. So the Imam says that these people who will come in the latter days, they won't ever enjoin good or forbid evil, except إِذَا أَمِنُوا الضَّرَرِ, when they feel that they can do so without losing anything. Like at that point, when everybody's talking about it, suddenly they talk about it. So they've got nothing to lose. Then the Imam says, يَطْلُبُونَ لِأَنفُسِهِمُ الرُّخَصِ. They're always looking for excuses for themselves. Concessions, discounts. يَطْلُبُونَ لِأَنفُسِهِمُ الرُّخَصِ وَالْمَعَاذِيرِ, and justifications. يَتَّبِعُونَ زَلَّاتِ الْعُلَمَاءِ وَفَسَادَ عَمَلِهِمْ. And you will also notice that they will make the mistakes and the mishaps and the slip-ups of scholars, they will target them. They need to undermine the religious institutions, because in order for them to establish themselves, they have to attack other scholars. They'll say these scholars don't know a thing about what we're going through. Our lives here are difficult. You know, remember what Bani Israel said? In this world, things are so different. This isn't Najaf, this isn't Karbala, this isn't Qom. Those scholars, what do they know about our challenges, about our problems? They have to attack and undermine established scholars and jurists and ulama in order to establish themselves. Whereas at the end of the day, I'll wrap up with this and maybe leave the other points for another night. You have to stand firm, brothers and sisters. You have to ask Imam al-Hussein and the Imam of the time, to whom we are offering condolences. Ask them for backing and support, because they can give you that support. I mentioned the hadith which I didn't get to finish last night, and it's when Imam al-Jawad says to one of his emissaries, one of his deputies by the name of Ali ibn Mahziyar al-Ahwazi. Listen to what the Imam says to him. It's mind-boggling. He says to him, Ya Ali ibn Mahziyar, I've tested you, I've tried you, I've examined you, and I've reached the level where if I say I have seen no one like you, لَرَجَوْتُ أَنْ أَكُونَ صَادِقًا, I suspect that I would be truthful in that. You've probably never heard his name, and yet the Imam says, I've never seen anyone like you. Then the Imam makes a dua for him. Ya Hujjat ibn al-Hasan, Ya Aba Abdullah. He said to him, on the day of judgment, I pray that Allah gives you a status that makes you the envy of everyone on the day of judgment. Allahu Akbar. And so the Imam can give you this backing. The Imam can look at you and say, you have potential. Come, give me your hand. Let me help you be a much better version of yourself. Let me help you board this ark and seek your salvation. It's possible. He went to Hajj. Then after performing the pilgrimage, he headed towards Medina to visit Rasulullah, his shrine, his grave, and also to visit one of the wives of the Holy Prophet, one of the righteous, pious wives of the Messenger. Remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah At-Tahrim, verse number 4, talks about two of his wives and says, if you repent, وَإِن تَتُوبَا فَقَدْ صَغَتْ قُلُوبُكُمَا, if you repent from what you've done, then maybe you stand a chance. But your hearts have deviated. Your hearts, not your actions. In other words, your beliefs are in question. He says this to two of the wives. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِن تَظَاهَرَا عَلَيْهِ, and if they band together to hurt the Prophet, Allah waliyuh, God is his guardian, meaning I will defend Rasulullah, my messenger, from these two evil wives. Surah Al-Tahrim, it's right there in the verse number 4. I will stand to defend him. And Jibreel wa Salih al-Mu'mineen, meaning Ali ibn Abi Talib, and all of my angels. So we had this example. But we also had the likes of Salama. So this man comes to visit Salama. When he met her, she asked him, what's your name? He said, my name is Maytham. Salama said, you are Maytham? Meaning Maythamul Tammar. You're Maytham? He said, yes. She said, do you know how many nights I heard Rasulullah advise Amirul Mu'mineen to look after you? Do you know how many nights I've seen conversations between the Messenger of Allah and the Commander of the Faithful about you? Who was Maytham? Maytham was a slave that Amirul Mu'mineen purchased with a hefty price tag. And the Imam said, if I had to keep paying more and more until the day of judgment, it's worth it. Because Maytham's worth it. She said, this is what I've seen. Rasulullah would tell Ali ibn Abi Talib to look after you, to take care of you, to share with you his knowledge, to not keep anything from you. You're Maytham. Then she said to him, do you know, Maytham, that Rasulullah also told Amirul Mu'mineen that you will be crucified. They will cut your hand, they will amputate your hands and legs. They will nail you to a cross. He said, yes, I know. My master Amirul Mu'mineen has told me that. She said, did he also tell you that they will cut off your tongue and the blood will come gushing out and cover your beard? He said, yes, Amir al-Mu'mineen has told me that. So then she called for her maid. She said, come, bring me some fragrant oil and dye the beard of Maytham, which is going to be dyed with his blood. Maytham would go, and there was this tree, this palm tree, and he would go and water the tree and then pray 2 units next to it every single day. Amir al-Mu'mineen had taken this man as a slave who wasn't even Arab. The first encounter with the Imam, Amir al-Mu'mineen said to him, what's your name? So he mentioned the name he was known by at the time in Kufa. The Imam said, no, that's not your name. Your mother named you Maytham, and that's what I'm going to name you. He said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, how do you know that? The Imam said, there's a lot more where that came from, my words. So the Imam taught him, educated him, lifted him up, blessed him, and exalted him. And one of the disciplines he shared with him is ilmul manaya wal balaya, which is knowledge of the future, knowledge of who's going to die when and in what way, including that of his own. And so he used to come to this palm tree, he would water it and pray. One of the people who owned a house right next door to the tree, he would come out and say, Maytham, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm looking after this tree because soon I'll be your neighbor. That man thought that Maytham's probably going to come and buy a house next door. What he didn't know was Maytham was talking about this becoming his crucifix. Maytham is one of the martyrs of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. A lot of people imagine Maytham being executed and killed in the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Maytham was killed a mere 12 days before Ashura, before Imam al-Hussain. 12 days. When Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad came to Kufa, Maytham was sitting with Al-Mukhtar al-Thaqafi. And someone came and said that Ubaidullah, the Amir, summons you to him. Al-Mukhtar said, Ubaidullah came? He said, yes. He said, that's it. He's going to execute us. He's going to kill us. Maytham said to him, Mukhtar, don't worry. As for you, Ubaidullah is going to tell you that your brother-in-law, Abdullah ibn Umar, has interceded for you. And he has sent a letter basically guaranteeing that you won't do anything. So Ubaidullah is going to take you and force you into exile. He will make you leave Kufa. As for me, this is what's going to happen. I'll be captured. Then they will amputate my hands and my legs. Then I will be crucified for 3 days. Then they will cut my tongue off. But you have nothing to worry about. And in 4 years' time, you will get the chance to avenge the blood of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein, who is now on his way with his women and children to Kufa. So they went to meet Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. Sure enough, Ubaidullah said to Mukhtar that your brother-in-law, the son of Umar, has intervened for you. And he's guaranteed that you won't do anything, so just leave Kufa. I don't want to see your face. As for you, Maytham, I have a question for you. They say that you have knowledge of what's to come. You can foretell who's going to die and how and in what manner. Did your Imam tell you how I would kill you? He said, yes, as a matter of fact, he did. He said, what did he say? He said, you will amputate my hands and my legs. Then you will crucify me on that very specific tree. And you will keep me there for 3 days and nights. Then you will cut off my tongue, and that's when I will die. Ubaidullah said, I will make sure your master is labeled a liar. So do amputate his hands and legs. Do crucify him, because that's the worst thing you can do to someone. Have you ever cut your finger before? Have you ever, God forbid, cut your finger so deep where it gets to the bone? God forbid that ever happens. This will shake you to your core. You think getting a paper cut is painful? He said, cut off his hands and legs, crucify him, just don't cut his tongue off. I want to make Ali ibn Abi Talib a liar. They took Maytham al-Tammar, Ridwanullah ta'ala alayh. They cut his hands, they cut his arms and his legs. How they kept him alive for 3 days, I don't know. Perhaps they burnt the wounds. Maybe they tied him up to ensure that the blood doesn't gush out immediately. But they put him on that cross, and as soon as they did, he said, Ya Ahl al-Kufa, come to me. Let me speak to you about the merits and virtues of my master Ali ibn Abi Talib. قال رسول الله علي مع الحق والحق مع علي يدور معه حيثما دار. قال رسول الله يا علي أنت مني بمنزلة هارون من موسى. قال رسول الله إنما أهل بيتي مثل أهل بيتي كسفينة نوح من ركبها نجا ومن تخلف عنها غرق وهواه. قال رسول الله أنا مدينة العلم وعلي بابها فمن أراد المدينة والحكمة فليأتها من بابها. قال رسول الله أقضاكم علي أعدلكم علي. He kept speaking of the virtues of Amir al-Mu'mineen. People gathered around, someone's crucified, and he's saying all of these things. After 3 days, the executioner rushed to Ubaidullah. He said, listen, your reputation is in tatters. This man went from speaking about the merits of Ali to now saying to people that Aba Abdullah is heading towards you. He's now telling them to join Imam al-Hussein. And he's telling them that soon enough, the severed head of Aba Abdullah will be paraded in the streets and alleyways of Kufa. He's going to cause and spark a revolution. You have to do something about it. He said, in that case, go and cut off his tongue. When the executioner came, he said, tell Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad that you are the bastard child of your mother. You're the liar, not my master Ali ibn Abi Talib. Here, take my tongue. As soon as the tongue was cut off, blood started gushing from it. It covered his beard, it smeared his face. Then he said, "You're about to die right now. Be quiet, be silent." So he pointed to the sun, meaning that my master told me that when the disk of the sun is half covered, that is when I'm going to die. Just give it a few moments. When the disk of the sun was covered half, that's when he surrendered his soul into the hands of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Ya Hara Hamdan, man yamut yarani. Amir al-Mu'mineen said that I will be there to greet you. Imam al-Sadiq said, he said that if you, Imam al-Ridha, he said to Rayyan ibn Shabib, he said, if you cry for my grandfather Aba Abdullah, then I will make sure that when the angel of death comes to extract your soul from your body, that he is more merciful and kind to you than your own mother. إن شئت أن تبكي على شيء فابكر الحسين. If you wish to cry for something, anything, then cry for my grandfather Aba Abdullah. Then the Imam told him something which not just breaks the heart, but it tears the ligaments out of it. He said to him, because my father, my grandfather Aba Abdullah, he was slaughtered. Sallallahu alayk ya Mawla, ya Madloom, ya Gharib. فإنه ذبح كما يذبح الكبش. He was slaughtered like a sheep is slaughtered. In other words, there was a celebration. In other words, everyone came to grab a piece. Aywa waylah wa musibatah. Maytham was killed, he was executed, he was crucified. May Allah bless him, he became one of the martyrs of Aba Abdullah. But I don't know why, in my heart I feel like addressing Maytham right now. And I will say this, Maytham, they hurt you, they made you bleed for 3 days, they cut off your organs, they cut off your tongue, they had you crucified, but they never slaughtered you before the very eyes of your women and children. Oh Maytham, your women and children didn't have to come and see your body the way they saw the body of Aba Abdullah. Ajarakallah, Baqiyatullah. The eldest daughter of Aba Abdullah, Fatima bintul Hussein, she says that at night when everyone was put to sleep, I came out looking for my Aunt Zainab until I found her standing by a big pile of swords and spears. She was addressing someone. I got close to her. I said, Amma, who are you talking to? I don't see anyone. All I see is broken blades and spears and arrows and rocks that had piled up like this. She said to her, my niece, هذا جسد أبيك الحسين. Look closer. This is the body of your father, Aba Abdullah. Fatima bintul Hussein threw herself on whatever was remaining. I don't know what it was. She threw herself on that pile. She screamed, Abata, oh father. They killed you, they did all of this to you, but Father, I wish you were there to see when they came to whip my Aunt Zainab. Zainab bint Amir al-Mu'mineen, Zainab bint Fatima. Father, I wish you were there. I know how protective you are of your women, of your children, of your sisters. Father, you should have seen how when they ambushed the tent, Lady Zainab saw the multitudes flooding towards the encampment. So she went to Imam Zayn al-Abidin. She said to him, what do we do? Is there something you could do? Maybe God destined for a miracle to happen? Imam al-Sajjad said, no, not today. Alaykunna bil firar. Run in any direction you can. Rahim Allah man nada wa Hussaina. Ya Hussein.
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. खंजर से मेरे भाई को मारा है बार बार, खंजर से मेरे भाई को मारा है बार बार। हंस हंस के मुझको शिम्र ने, हंस हंस के मुझको शिम्र ने देखा है बार बार। खंजर से मेरे भाई को मारा है बार बार, खंजर से मेरे मारा है बार बार खंजर। सारे गानों मौला मिलके शरीक होंगे पुरसे में। है बार बार खंजर से मेरे भाई को, है बार बार खंजर से मेरे भाई को मारा। हंस हंस के मुझको शिम्र ने, के मुझको शिम्र देखा है बार बार। खंजर से मेरे भाई को मारा। हंस हंस के मुझको शिम्र ने, हंस हंस के मुझको शिम्र ने देखा है बार बार। खंजर से मेरे भाई को मारा है, खंजर से मेरे भाई को मारा है। कट जाता सर हुसैन का पहले ही वार पर, लेकिन गले पे चलती हुई तेग देख कर गर्दन पे हाथ अम्मा ने, पे हाथ अम्मा ने रखा है बार बार। खंजर से मेरे भाई मारा है बार बार। खंजर से मेरे भाई को है बार बार। खंजर से मेरे भाई को मारा है बार बार। 70 कदम थी दूर बहन भाई से जगह गिरती थी लड़खड़ा के मैं हर बार पर वहाँ फैजा ने मुझको बढ़ के गए ने मुझको बढ़ के उठाया है बार बार से मेरे
मारा है बार बार खंजर से मेरे भाई को मारा है बार बार
खंजर से मेरे भाई को
मारा है बार बार
अरे तकलीफ उसके जख्मों की कैसे करूं बयां अकबर की तरह जख्मी थी भाई की एड़ियां मंजर वो मेरे सामने मंजर वो मेरे सामने आता है बार बार अरे तकलीफ उसके जख्मों की कैसे करूं बयां अकबर की तरह जख्मी थी भाई की एड़ियां मंजर वो मेरे सामने
मंजर वो मेरे
सामने आता है बार बार खंजर भाई को मारा है बार बार खंजर से मेरे भाई को
मारा है बार बार
अरे सीने 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 पेशमर बैठा है खंजर लिए हुए अरे सीने पेशमर बैठा है खंजर लिए हुए देखे ना के बाली सकीना इसीलिए खैमों में मुझको भाई ने भेजा है बार बार खंजर से मेरे भाई को मारा है बार बार खंजर से मेरे भाई को
मारा है बार बार
खंजर से मेरे भाई को
मारा है बार बार
32 साल पाला है जिस भाई ने तुझे उस बेवतन गरीब ने हर एक बार पे अब्बास तेरा नाम है
अब्बास तेरा नाम
पुकारा है बार बार खंजर से मेरे भाई
मारा
है बार बार खंजर से मेरे भाई को
मारा है बार बार
खुश हो रहा है शिम्र मेरा हाल देख कर अरे खुश हो रहा है शिम्र मेरा हाल देख कर बालों से उसने से उठाया हुआ है सर से जमीन पे खून खंजर से मेरे भाई को
मारा है बार बार, खंजर से मेरे भाई को मारा है बार बार।
ज़ीशानो जोन सानिए ज़ाहरा ने ये कहा, अब्बास तुम जो होते तो कटता नहीं गला। भाई कहा हुसैन सा,
भाई कहा हुसैन सा मिलता है बार बार।
हैया अला खैरिल अमल,
हैया अला खैरिल अमल,
हैया अला खैरिल अमल, हैया
अला खैरिल अमल।
या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन, हुसैन या हुसैन, हुसैन या हुसैन। वो आबिदे बीमार था, वो
आबिदे बीमार था,
चलने से जो लाचार था, चलने
से जो लाचार था।
और शाम का बाजार था,
और शाम का बाजार था,
और शाम का बाजार था। और मुस्तफा की बेटियां मौला हक इमाम या हसन
या हुसैन या हुसैन। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद।
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله، أشهد أن عليا ولي الله، أشهد أن عليا وأولاده المعصومين بالحق حجج الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، حي على الفلاح، حي على خير العمل، حي على خير العمل. الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله